Okay, the first thing I have to say is, Gaijin Goomba, thank you for your advice. Um, I can't thank you enough. This is going to be helping me out. I know me just saying you, just talking about you is not going to help you with any views, and I really wish I could help you in some other way. But I want to say is thank you for helping me out, and I'm going to on the topic of violence in video games. I know the subject has probably been done to death by tons and tons of different commentators and such. And honestly, I will probably return to this a few times, but I just felt like that I had to just talk about this. I'll probably return to this in about a month or so, maybe longer, maybe less, I don't know. But honestly, I just had to talk about it. I just had to talk about this, about the violence in video games, because honestly, this idea has been baking in the back of my head for a few years in total, but only recently, after like 6 months or so, that the games, violence in video games had finally been actually getting to me, that it just made me feel sick and just disgusting and dirty. I mean, I felt sick with myself, felt dirty, I felt like I needed to take a god blessed shower. And honestly, it was like the first time in a while I'm playing games and they bothered me. I mean, actually bothered me. I'm like, wow, this really was kind of bad. It was like the game's just playing more draining and just I felt like sucking the life out of me playing Call of Duty, Battlefield, the ilk like that, and it was like I didn't understand why the heck was it bothering me, and it was like, really, why? And I realized it was that this intense violence that was what was doing it, and that these games have these intensely high body counts, and they don't really give the player a very good reason why for this. I mean, there's no doubt that video games themselves are violent and graphic, and there's no way that as a community of gamers that we can honestly not say there's nothing wrong with this, and that playing these games does not look scary, gruesome, and creepy, and like a creepy fetish to other people that are not in this gaming. And why are these games that we're running and playing, that are running on this hardware and pushing the graphics to the highest fidelity, making these graphics look so realistic? And honestly, most of these things don't have to worry about breaking the uncanny valley. I mean, they look real. I mean, living enough to make you go, ooh, what you do. And honestly, we've been killing millions and millions of digital people, and it's like now is the time that we're pushing the limits on everything, and we need to be toning down this mindless bloodshed. I mean, this mindless graphic killing, ripping people apart. And games can make us feel things, and in and of itself, that makes it art. And I don't feel that it's art yet. I feel we're close. We're scraping the ceiling and being considered art. And honestly, if we're gonna be making this any argument that this gaming that games are art, we gotta kind of, to a small degree, let go of a lot of this mindless nature, this mindless fetishizing, making things, turning this violence into a fetish for people. I know you're gonna say, oh, just this like culture, oh, just random killing. It's like, I'm not talking about just the I'm not talking about the multiplayer. Yes, I am, but it's like, as a whole, multiplayer is the area where the action movie of the game. But when you look at, when people look at these games and seeing us as a community playing this, I can see them seeing that this is a murder simulator. Now, do I condone it, saying that these are murder simulators? No, they are freaking not. But when you look at it as a whole, you look at it from the outside, people can have an easy reason for seeing this as being disgusting, violent, promoting just this horrible notions, these horrible actions. Because when you look at it, it's just you just killing with no point behind it. And honestly, video games have been pushing boundaries, and be it through the violence in sex in a GTA, but it's like most of these video games push the boundaries, and they're trying to, and it's like a kid seeing these game companies are putting it like a kid trying to see how much can we push, how much can we get away with, and it's not the way we should be treating games if we're trying to think ourselves as an art form. Now, I understand every game doesn't have to be a piece of art. Excuse me, sorry. But each game doesn't have to be a piece of art, but we can't just be being that a little boy, a little kid, saying, let's see how much I can push and piss off people and see how much we can get away with. And this is with these games that we're not setting a good example for our community to the outsiders, to the outside groups. Yes, the we may have broken down some of that, but we cannot just be pushing along and being, oh, there's graphics, there's violence, we're killing someone, jabbing a blade in their throat, taking them down. We have to be thinking what we do. Our community as a whole cannot just be ignoring this and just pushing this graphic violence, the glorification of the violence and stuff like that. I mean, GTA, honestly, what bothers me the most about it, it's the glorification, and this is it, glorification of violence, sex, and drugs. And it, honestly, they overlook, and they make you not even think about, overlook the idea, and there's no real perspective of what you're doing, there's no real reason behind it, and many of these games try to be the pretense of mature. I mean, being mature doesn't mean having sex, having violence. It is a part of being of someone a mature person can do, but it's how you handle and respond to it is what makes you mature. Because a 30-year-old could be having sex left and right. It doesn't make the person mature. It just makes him a horn dog. It doesn't make him a man, a mature individual. It just shows that he's a horn dog that can't keep it in his goddamn pockets. And since most of these games are played by 35 years old people and up, I mean, it's like that's the majority of gamers. They're older individuals. And honestly, we need to be, in some of these games, acting our age. I mean, yes, a lot of it's aimed at a younger audience, but we can't just be just saying, oh, aimed at a younger audience, let's just keep on going with it, ripping someone's throat out. I mean, honestly, this is what's the problem. Hell, at first I heard Shigeru Miyamoto and Warren Spector having a problem with this graphic, gratuitous violence, and honestly, I kind of agree with them that these people have a right to complain. They're in the industry. These are not like the young guys who are starting out who will just go, okay, we'll do this. These are men who've made games what they are. I mean, hell, Shigeru Miyamoto himself has been in the industry for at least about 30 years, and many of his works, though some can say have violence in them, they do something that all these other games nowadays don't. They don't have this appeal, this charm that makes you get sucked in and love it. I mean, Shigeru Miyamoto's stuff, I could say, is akin to his stuff he works on, produces, and oversees. Usually most of the stuff, even if they don't sell well, but most of them do, there's something like a cult classic that you can grab and show, this is what video games about. This is what's so great about games. It's not just And I mean, this man, honestly, I feel we should listen to him, even Warren Spector. But it's like this man, Shigeru Miyamoto, pretty much single-handedly, his ideas and his games brought the gaming collapse of the early 80s back. He literally himself took a freaking fat Italian plumber and went, okay, I'm making games fun, everyone likes them, and he made it, you could say it was violent, you're crushing these, killing these monsters, but you're not being gratuitous. There was a point. Your point was to save the princess from King Koopa or Bowser, whatever you want to call him. Your job was to save some. There was a point and a premise, and there was no, oh, I'm ripping someone apart. And I can seriously doubt this man would have made a game that was ripping someone apart. Even Zelda, you may be killing people and hacking into them, but there was nothing like you're ripping off limbs or just dismembering them. And honestly, most of these games are considered classics and paragons that one should achieve in gaming. This cult phenomenon that people have fallen in love with. He himself has made just miraculous games that honestly may have, in someone's eyes, can argue violence in them, but it's not this overborne, disgusting notions of violence that we see today and stuff like this. And honestly, I realize that the biggest problem is this intensity of violence and the high amount of mindless body count that you get in these games. It's not so much that, oh, I killed him, or you did this. You're just ripping through people left and right for no other better reason that they're your enemy. A game says kill him, you just rip through him. Hell, Black Ops. I played Black Ops, and I played the story. You know what? I got physically sick. I mean, literally playing it. Not only was the story I felt was atrocious, the violence in it was just, there was no real reason. Any reason was just so convoluted and not this clear. And I know they're trying to, we're trying to go for more mature. That wasn't mature. That was an excuse just to be cutting people's throats out, blowing people's brains out. There was no reason to show you blowing off the bastard's legs or arms and having him scream and moan in agony. And honestly, was there any repercussions for doing it? No, there wasn't. Oh man, sorry about that. But I mean, these games, most of the first-person shooters gives you an enemy to kill, and I mean, that's it. Here's your enemy, kill him. And like Call of Duty, Battlefield, even Ghost Recon, the only reason they give is not that they're the bad, other than there's bad. They're the bad guy. Kill him. He's a terrorist. I mean, yes, we know we use that generic notion as that's the enemy, but you gotta do something more. You can't just go kill him. He's enemy. Kill. You gotta give a better reason. And honestly, not only that, in that, okay, they're the enemy, kill the terrorists. Finally go kill. It's like, come on, there has to be something else. And you know what? Killing someone left, right, and center, and honestly, giving no reason and just a high body count, it kind of turns people off. And the intensity that they throw this at you, it's not like Deus Ex, where, yeah, there was violence, you killed a person, but you were trying to get out of it, and anytime you took a violent notion or course, it wasn't for, I'm going to kill him, yay, have fun. It was, you killed him because you couldn't do it any other way. It was a ramification of what you failed to do. It wasn't just because of, okay, kill the guy, just kill. It was, your job was to get around and think your problem through. Circumvent the problem without killing it. And these graphics of these violent games, they don't tone them down. And I'm not saying that you need to tone it down, but I also say that you don't need to show you ripping out someone's spine. I mean, most of these games have pushed the graphics to such a degree that you don't need that. You need to stylize what it looks like and not really get this, I'm ripping it to pieces motion out. And honestly, the reason for this is that there's no repercussions for your actions. I mean, most of the time in COD and stuff, like, they allow you to kill with impunity, and there's no weight to your actions. I mean, the biggest thing, if you don't kill me, you die. I mean, you might argue, that's a nice reaction. There's a repercussion. That's not a repercussion. That's just the game acting upon itself. There was no repercussion for anything. I can't think of the game off. It's like, even some of the games I like that give you a choice. There's a choice. Do you kill this guy or save this guy? Hell, Infamous do you save this guy or do you kill this guy? There was a repercussion. Even though it was binary and this little goofy little thing, there was an actual repercussion for your action. It wasn't some mindless, okay, kill him. And it's the fact that this is just not even helping. It's glorifying violence. And honestly, I mean, there's several reasons why. And honestly, I feel the biggest problem with this, that why people are having such a problem, the violence in video games, is its pacing. I feel that's the first reason. COD 4. Now, honestly, there was a lot of violence. But even though they gave us a flimsy reason for killing these people, they're terrorists, they're trying to stop a blah, blah. It actually gave you a feeling of a legitimate reason. You're trying to save people. Not only were you saving people, its pace was, there's these 10 sections that you're trying to get through enemy lines, you're trying to get through, and you didn't kill left and right. If you killed someone out, it was because you wanted to make sure you were safe, your team was safe. Protecting your own teammate, another reason. And the pacing was just not, your teammate's with you, protect them. It was, try to get through here. It was never every single kill left and right, like the later ones became. And these modern ones, that Call of Duty, Black Ops, and all these Battlefield, you're killing left and right. There's no tension meter. There's no build of, oh my god, I gotta kill someone. There was no pacing. The COD 4 had this pace where you could go in, and hell, my favorite mission was that when you're in Russia. Why? Because you didn't have to kill every single person. It made you feel like you were a sniper trying to sneak your way in. Go through the bushes. Be a bushy walking bush. going through it. But there was no, it was not like, blood, kill, I'm killing you. Heck, I got bored of Ghost Recon really quickly because it was just violence, kill, kill, kill. You couldn't truly as a whole circumvent your problems. You couldn't deal with this in any way other than massacre these people, and then just doing it quickly and relentlessly. And honestly, relentlessly. And for what reason? There was no reason. This is the enemy. Kill him. We need a reason. And honestly, Deus Ex, your thing is go in there and get quietly. And honestly, what did most people enjoy about these stealth action games? They give you a choice and a reason to do it. Metal Gear always promoted this choice and reason. Your reasoning for it could be your own in those games. You could literally run and gun, but it was never promoted. Why? Because they showed a reason. You do not take a human life. And you only do it if you're forced to or must to. You try to engage targets as least as possible and circumvent them. It's the reason. Most games don't give a good reason, and hell, some of my favorite games give you the choice, and you can rationalize and reason it out. And honestly, here's the other thing. Ramifications. When you're doing violent actions in these games, Call of Duty, what's your ramification for your violent action? I saw nothing. Nothing whatsoever. When I played it, there was no ramifications for killing someone. Honestly, fighting games, you kind of get a little leeway because there's nothing, that's all your job is to. Call of Duty, there has to be ramifications. And I'm not talking about war crimes or anything like that, but there has to be a reason for what you did and how you did it. There can't be just this, okay, just you killed this guy. Because hell, Deus Ex, if you killed a person, they found you, they would hunt you down. There was not like this little, you killed someone, okay, let's go, or we're all going to kill you. There was ramifications for your actions. There was not this little nanny-panny. Hell, BioShock. This game forced you in this world to fight and kill. Yes, death wasn't a major factor, but there was this notion that you were trying to survive, and your ramifications were, and also it gave you ramifications, even in a better sense. The Little Sisters, do you save them or not? They were ramifications. And it lets you choose. Even though it was binary, your choice was there. And these ramifications were there. Do you help or do you not help? Hell, it even showed that your short-term gain may not have been big if you didn't harvest them, but in the long term, if you saved enough of those little girls in BioShock, the ramifications of your actions, you would get more than you would ever get, and you get supplies from them. There's a choice, there's an action, and a cause and the exality for your actions. Cause and effect for your actions. This is what most of these games don't do. They don't give this smashing, okay, you did this, boom, here's your smack response, and not this Fable or Mass Effect. Oh no, there's ramifications for your acts, and you can't just make it the simple black and white. You can't just do it like this. And someone might say, what about The Witcher? Witcher does a lot of it very good, but not perfect. And you know what? Witcher's a very good game, but for a different reason. Why? It gives you choice, even though you're forced to kill everything. It gives you choice. And honestly, this is why I feel that, as a whole, most of these violent video games need to rethink what they're doing. They can't just be keeping this violence for violence sakes, this gratuitous. We need to, as a whole, look back at what we're doing. This gaming is very close to becoming an art form. We can't just ignore what we're doing. We have to look what we're doing and look what we're trying to become. We can't hide under the guise of art if we're not willing to look back upon ourselves and see what we're doing as a gaming culture. We as a gaming community can't just ignore that our games are super violent, and if you look at this just in passing, it looks like we're antisocial sociopaths to people. And I'm not just talking to just all these news people. A lot of people will look at these games and go, ugh, you're just killing left and right. My own family, open-minded is the word. Their initial response to some of these games were, oh God. And you know what? They have a right to feel that way because you know what? These games do push the envelope. And you know what? If we can't be treating this like an art form, we can't look at this like, if we can't say we have to look at how our violent actions in these games are affecting and have repercussions, we have no right to call this art. And honestly, this violence in video games needs to be, if it doesn't need to be, it needs to be reevaluated. You can keep it the same intensity if you want to, because there's going to be people who like that. But if we're going to do that, we as a community as a whole have to relook at it and reevaluate it. And honestly, be that a new rating or not, I don't know. And right now, I don't know what to say, but violence, as it is in games, needs to be looked and scrutinized, not just by the outsiders, by the outside community, because you know what? They don't have the same perspective as we do, but we cannot ignore their ideas. We as a community have to look at what we're making, look at the violence that's being done in these games, and think, is this something I would be proud to show my daughter, my son, my brother, my sister, my cousins? Is this something we can be proud of to show someone? I know as a culture, as a community, even as a species, there's violent tendencies, but we should be proud of the Shigeru Miyamoto's works more than the Call of Duties. We need to reevaluate this violence and look at it and just figure out what can we do to really show that this is not just mindless fetishizing sick decrepit shit. It's just sick creepy crap that if you look at it, it looks creepy. And you know what? I feel we can do that. I don't know if we're close to it, but I feel that we can do this. I feel very shortly there'll be a game that will just be a glow of this almost like art. And honestly, some games need to be showing that violence is not great, that there are problems, and we need to look at it. I have yet to find this game, and when I do, I will probably be praising it, but it may not be, maybe the game you're thinking of, it may not be the game you're thinking of, or the game you may be thinking of may be on the right step to talking about and showing about violence. Thank you. Thank you for listening to my rant. I know it turned into a rant. It wasn't so much. It was a topic of violence in video games, and I probably got out of hand of it. But I thank you for listening. Please, if you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Please write down in the comments a positive, even if it's a negative. Hopefully a positive. Please tell me what you like. Please like, favorite, subscribe. Please do that stuff that YouTube asks us. It will really help me out, and I really do want to do more of these. I thank you for listening and taking my time. I thank you those who've supported me straight out with their words of encouragement and whatnot, or inadvertently help me, or inadvertently by just their videos, and by just helping me and giving me advice on projects and stuff like that. Thank you and good night.